Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. In today's coverage of the ongoing civil war that is taking place inside of the former state of Ethiopia, the fighting continues. And today I wanted to talk about a couple of ongoing issues within the context of this conflict. First and foremost, I wanted to talk about a little bit about what I am now calling the hidden war, the secret war that is taking place inside of the Oromo region, the Oromia region. Again, we continue to hear about the mass recruitment and volunteers that are continuing to side and join with the Oromo Liberation Army. Now, with that being said, the central government of the Abiy loyalists, the Prosperity Party, based in Addis Ababa, also known as Finfinne, continue to discount the ongoing conflict that is taking place inside of the Oromia region. Again, many of the engagements, many of the battles, many of the battlefield setbacks that are occurring on the part of the Abiy loyalist formations in terms of the loss of security camps and the loss of smaller towns and cities throughout the Oromia region are simply not being reported on. And again, I've had the opportunity to receive some fairly long video sets that document some of the ongoing fighting that has taken place inside of the Oromia region. And I can tell you it is a vicious and intense conflict with many casualties. And again, the idea that the Eritrean army is now supporting, and well, it's not an idea, it is an actual fact, that the Eritrean army is now supporting the Abiy loyalist formations in the Oromia region. And one of the main reasons for that happening is because of the battlefield setbacks that are taking place inside of Oromia. Again, the situation is very tenuous right now for the Prosperity Party, for the Abiy loyalist formations that are operating against the Oromo Liberation Army. And as you can see on my map, again, the yellow areas are areas in which towns and general swaths of land are controlled by the Oromo Liberation Army. So obviously the circles, in this case, the small town of Gedo, is controlled by the Oromo Liberation Army. The town of Ambo is besieged by the Oromo Liberation Army, and north of Ambo, huge swaths of territory are controlled by the Oromo Liberation Army. And again, the reason that we are seeing the additional movements of Eritrean forces, specifically into the Oromia region, is because the Abiy loyalist formations are having a tough go at countering the Oromo Liberation Army. And obviously that was compounded chiefly because of the year-long war against the Tigrayan Defense Forces. This has given the Oromo Liberation Army the ability to expand, prepare, and launch continued operations to free the Oromia region, and eventually the goal would be to overrun Addis Ababa and declare it Finfinne at some point. But again, that is the objective of the Oromo Liberation Army. In other news that is taking place, we continue to see the use or the indiscriminate use of air power in the Tigray region. The Abiy loyalist formations continue to use both drones and fixed-wing strike aircraft against targets inside of the Tigray region. Just recently, Korem was hit again, and targets in Alamata have been hit, along with a number of other targets throughout the Tigray region as well. We do know that there is a uptick in fighting near Abala between the Tigrayan Defense Forces and Afar. Marauders have, in some cases, crossed the border near Abala, and the information that we are receiving, those Afar marauders were eventually driven off. And as the situation right now, the fighting continues within the vicinity of Abala. The Tigrayan Defense Forces operate very close and at times inside of Abala. And obviously, there are Afar forces in Abala. And along with supporting those Afar forces are limited contingents of both the Eritrean army and the Ethiopian National Defense Forces, the Abiy loyalist formations that are operating in the Afar region. In terms of other fighting, we continue to see, as I've talked about in prior videos, and again, this is going to be a multi-week, multi-month operation to encircle areas within Western Tigray, and then quite possibly eventually launch a final operation in Western Tigray. It would appear that some of the fighting near Shiraro has lessened a bit, and we know the Eritrean army was driven off near Shiraro. There continues to be some sporadic artillery duels within the environments of Shiraro, both the Tigrayan Defense Forces and the Eritrean army doing tit-for-tat artillery duels near Shiraro. But again, across the Tikizi River, we continue to see the Tigrayan Defense Forces cross and make gains in the western Tigray region. Again, this is a long-term extended operation which could culminate in a fairly large-scale offensive by the Tigrayan Defense Forces. But right now, with the lull in some of the heaviest fighting that has taken place in southeastern Tigray and obviously the northern Amhara region, that fighting has lessened, and it has given the Tigrayan Defense Forces the chance to reconsolidate forces, to rest forces, to retrain new units, and deploy new units as the Tigray Defense Forces continue with its full-scale mobilization efforts that we've seen over the course of the past year. Again, the Tigrayan Defense Forces still continue to maintain a very robust force, numbering in excess of 200 to 250,000 personnel. So again, a very challenging endeavor to maintain that kind of force construct with a population of about 6 to 7 million people in the Tigray region, and given the some of the limited resources that are available to the Tigray region, given the ongoing Anaconda strategy that we are seeing deployed by the Abiy loyalist formations, by the despotic regime of Isaias Afwerki and Eritrea to its north. So again, a very challenging endeavor, but some of the recent operations by the Tigrayan Defense Forces in which they invaded successfully the Amhara region, pressing more than 160 miles south into the Amhara region, seizing large cities such as Kobo, Weldia, Dese, Kombolcha, and eventually Shia Robit as well. But again, large amounts of weapons and supplies were taken from the Amhara region in that operation by the Tigrayan Defense Forces, and as we know, eventually the Tigrayan Defense Forces withdrew back to the Tigray region under the auspice of a possible negotiated settlement reference Western Tigray. But right now that seems to have fallen through, and it looks like outside of some sort of political negotiated settlement that would see the Western Tigray region be handed back over to the Tigrayan Defense Forces, this issue would have to be resolved by the by military means. But again, and therein lies the conundrum for both the Eritrean army and the Abiy loyalist formations. If they hand Western Tigray back over to the Tigrayan Defense Forces, really this entire war was for naught. They are basically, meaning they, Eritrea and the Ethiopian army, the Abiy loyalist formations, the Amhara regional militias are back quite literally in the same spot that they were prior to the beginning of hostilities, minus the loss of treasure, minus the loss of huge amounts of manpower that were lost in the course of the conflict. But pressure is starting to pick up on the Abiy loyalist formations. We're starting to see an uptick in political activity in the West, specifically Canada and some other nations that are really starting to put pressure on the Abiy loyalist formation, specifically for the use of indiscriminate airstrikes that are taking place in the Tigray region. And again, minus the use of some of these drone attacks and the support of Turkey, China, and the United Arab Emirates, it is very, very likely the Tigrayan Defense Forces would probably be sitting inside of Addis Ababa with the Oromo Liberation Army at this very moment, if not for the use of these external resources coming from Turkey, China, and the United Arab Emirates, and obviously Iran as well. But again, that is the current situation. We're really watching very closely, again, what is happening in Oromia. The situation is much, much more precarious for the Abiy Ahmed government than what is being stated. Large areas are currently under the control of or by the Oromo Liberation Army in Oromia. Probably as much as 40% of the Oromia region is under the control of the Oromo Liberation Army, and they continue to take towns, settlements, and vast swaths of land. And we continue to hear also about some of these Oromo security forces that were loyal to the government inside of Oromia, continuing to switch sides and having second thoughts about supporting the Abiy Ahmed Prosperity Party and the centralized government in Addis Ababa, also known as Fenfene. But that is the news for today. We are continuing to monitor, and of course, we'll have more information as we receive information. Again, information is somewhat difficult to obtain, especially in some of these incidents that are occurring, these battles that are occurring in the Oromia region, and obviously it is also difficult to obtain information what is going on in Western Tigray. But as we get it, we will definitely report it to you, and we will join you again very, very soon. Have a good day, everybody.